All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Work Life, Life Beyond Career Workshop series. Today's discussion is going to be talking about the longevity revolution. And it's a very interesting aspect as it relates to particularly those of us thinking about a post-career life, because technology is playing a huge impact on what could potentially happen to our lifespans. And it's something we need to be paying more attention to and about as we head into post-career life, because it could have an impact on either our finances, our health, or what we would plan to do in there. So thank you for joining me today in this event. And today's agenda, we're going to cover two major aspects. We're going to talk about longevity facts. So I'm going to give you some ideas of the state of longevity, predominantly in the United States. I'll be using data, but most Western countries, and including Australia, because I know we have a participant from Australia, actually, your longevity rates are a little higher than the United States. The United States does have a tendency to be a little bit less than other developed countries in the world. So we'll talk about longevity facts, but then we'll also talk about the preparations that are involved in those. So let's first start and just talk about the general life expectancy here in the United States. And this source comes from the Center for Disease Control. And it's women in the United States right now, on average, have about a 79-year life expectancy or lifespan. For men, it's pretty significantly less at 73.2. There is a very good reason why, and that's because women take care of themselves generally better than men do. And so, given that fact, women have a longer lifespan. They take care of themselves, they do less risks in life, and they generally think better than men do. So just a challenge there on that for men is that the behaviors and the way we take care of ourselves does impact us when you compare it to women. Now, there is also something that's called the HALE index, or the healthy average life expectancy. And when you factor that in, that is in essence individuals who are intentionally focused on taking care of themselves through good exercise, eating right, all those factors that help for a healthier lifestyle. It jumps pretty significantly than the average life expectancy. For women, it jumps up to 85. And you'll notice with men, the gap gets closed a little bit more between the two when men take care of themselves. So it jumps well into the 80s when people have the HALE index added into their particular lifestyle or the way they live their life. So again, when you compare the HALE category to the regular CDC information, when you take care of yourself, on average, women will live 6 years longer and men get close to 10 years longer. So it is in all of our best interest to take care of ourselves as we factor that into a post-career life. Now, when you look at the retirement time analysis tool that I use with my clients, this is where people self-assess in a variety of areas. And one of the questions that they're asked is, how long do you think you're going to live? And in this case, those participants who take the retirement time analysis have a really healthy attitude about their life expectancy. For women, it's almost 90 years of age. And for men, it's a healthy 85 years of age. So again, the people who take the RTA have a good outlook on what their future is related to their longevity. Now, this is the first instance, though, of people doing what they think versus the last two slides that I showed you with the HALE index and the regular CDC data. That's actually when people live. But it is encouraging, and I think people should have a healthy attitude of giving themselves a long and robust lifespan. Now, what does that mean? So when you compare the RTA data back to the CDC data, I know I'm giving you a bunch of acronyms. Women, it's almost a 10-year difference, and men, it's a 12-year difference. So again, what you think and what could be actual could be two different things, but really the fact that you're sitting there and you're considering a longer life expectancy, again, I think is healthy. It's a healthy approach for a lifestyle strategy because you're thinking longevity from the standpoint of what can I do in a post-career life that brings me meaning, purpose, and joy. And I think the more that you have things to do and that you have a defined purpose, I think the more you're better apt to get to the type of numbers that people are thinking they're going to reach through the RTA. So if you're listening now and you're watching this, I want you to either, and again, you might be traveling, but I want you to think about doing a quick calculation. So if you've got a pen and paper, you can do it, because I want you to do the calorie equation, and not calorie as in food consumption, but calorie as an equation on how you can figure out the remaining years of your life. So calorie is CA, the current age, minus your life expectancy equals your remaining years. And the remaining years is what I want you to focus on. Because for many of us, that's solid. That's 20, 25, maybe 30 years. Well, if your remaining years are 30 years, you need to really start thinking about what then post-career life could be like. And you need to evaluate, are there major things that I want to do in my life that I haven't been able to do that I would like to put on either some type of plan? So the remaining years is not meant to be morbid. It's not meant to depress you. It's meant to challenge you to look at life and all the things that you can accomplish in the remaining years that you have defined for yourself. So again, calorie is the current age, CA, minus life expectancy, LE, equals your remaining years. Now, what are some of the things in context on the remaining years? Well, you can look at your remaining years and say how many of that is going to be involved in a post-career or retirement, where career is not the dominant factor of what I do during the day. The remaining years, again, are ways that you can establish goals in your life to be able to do things that you want to do, both on a professional and personal level. Then you have the financial means. So if you have a long remaining avenue of life left, so if you calculate out the remaining years in your life and it's big, you need to go back and refer that relative to your financial means. Because if there's a lot of years in there, but you don't have a lot of financial resources, that can impact the post-career lifestyle strategy that you want to plan for yourselves. So financial means definitely should be compared to it. And if you're concerned, I highly encourage you to seek professional financial help to help bring clarity to that. The remaining years also help you on your calorie equation to say, what do I want to accomplish it? And when do I want to accomplish it? For those of you who've watched or participated in other events, obviously, I really like you to focus on a post-career lifestyle strategy, but there's many times when you have to say, why wait? You might be 5 years out from retirement and plan this amazing thing and say, well, I'll do that when I retire. Well, why wait? If you can fit it into your life now, do that. And then if you're in a retirement life, you also say, if there's something really important, high priority to you, why wait? Do it when you can accomplish it, and then decide what that priority is. So that's the calorie equation. So again, the calorie equation is your current age minus your life expectancy, and that gives you your remaining years. I know, tough math here, right? Now I want to switch gears and turn to what I call the Rallery equation. That simply replaces your current age with your estimated retirement age or retirement age for reality if you are in retirement. So you take your retirement age and you subtract it from your life expectancy, and guess what? You have your retirement years that are left. The reason why I want you to do both a calorie equation and the Raleigh equation, is because it gives you an idea of what the differences in your life, or potentially what could happen in your life when you're in a career and when you're post-career. What is that differences? And it's also kind of a gut check to see, do I really feel good with the numbers that I've calculated for myself? And again, some of the areas you want to look at on the RY, the remaining years of the Raleigh equation, is to say, what's my life going to be like in retirement? Unpacking that, understanding that if you've got a big number there, so let's say you calculate your Raleigh and the RY factor on that, let's say it's 22 years. Well, what year one in retirement is going to be like is not what year 20 is going to be like. So you need to, again, decide what's my life in retirement and what's the potential changes I'm going to go through as I age in retirement, because that has an impact then on the goals you want to accomplish in retirement. What are those areas and avenues once you choose to put career in the rearview mirror, or it's de-emphasized a lot in your life? You then have to say, what are the goals that you want to accomplish from that? Then from there, again, you need to go back and say, do I have the financial means necessary in order to live the way I want to live in those retirement years? And if you're not sure, seek that professional help. Seek a financial advisor or wealth manager that's certified in their field so they can help you navigate through that. And then, just like we did with the calorie equation on the Raleigh side, you now look at, how am I going to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish? And why do I want to accomplish those things? Again, it's real important in a post-career life that you identify everything that you can and you know you want to do now up front, because as you get older, and you'll see some of the data here we talk about in a second, there can be some impacts to you in your life that may then make you regret because you can't do some of the things you wanted to do early on. Likewise, if there's some longer term goals, you want to put that into your calculation so that you can say, I'm going to cover these in the optimal time that's right for me. So that's the Raleigh equation. So I've given you two math problems to solve, hopefully not too difficult for you. Another element as it relates to life is life together and post-career life together. So if you have a spouse, a partner, or a significant other, there's something that you need to consider in your planning and strategy that could impact your life, and will impact your life, but could impact your planning. So again, coming from the retirement time analysis tool, the RTA, women feel that they're going to live to 89.2. Men feel they're going to live to 85.2. So there's a 4-year difference between, and again, that aligns with data I provided earlier that says women outlive men generally. Statistically, that's the case. So let's take a look at this chart. This is data that I've compiled from the retirement time analysis. And the first data in the blue represents people's current age. So the people that are taking the RTA are in their late 50s. So, and they're pretty close in age. Then their current age to retirement, again, pretty standard. It's about 8 to 9 years. Men a little bit sooner than women as it relates to the time that they're going to retire. Then based upon that, it's going to show that women are going to spend almost 26% of their life in retirement. Men a little bit less at 22%, or equating about 23 years to 19 years. if if your spouse or significant other, if you're planning together and you go through this exercise, you'll find there's going to be a gap with one of you, and probably it's going to be the woman who lives longer. And so there is this, what I call potential alone time, where one of you will outlive the other for a period of time. In some cases, it could be over a decade. So you need to be mindful about planning post-career life together, because that allows you both to decide what are the important things in life that we want to accomplish, so that we can do it when we're together in case something happens, so there's no regret afterwards. So this gap is real. And again, I'm not trying to bring people down. I'm just trying to bring reality to the situation. And if you take the RTA and you take it with your spouse, significant other, or partner, there is a calculation that's done where it tells you what that gap is going to be. So it's real important that you have these conversations up front with a realistic nature, because again, that 4-year gap there on average is something that's going to impact financially and also maybe where you live. So there's a whole host of elements tied to that. And so the more you bring that out as a reality, the more you can help plan for one or the other when they're alone. So again, as I noted, about men are going to spend 22% of their life in retirement, women over a quarter of their life in retirement. Now that's just, again, what people are estimating through the RTA. Life in the picture could be very, very different to that. Also, again, tying in it, the average alone time in this is going to be 4 years, or if it's a woman, about 4% of her life. If it's a man, it's over 5% of his life could potentially be alone without their spouse or partner. So these areas here obviously are something to address and impact, again, from a positive standpoint. So you both do the things you want to do together when you know you're both going to be together. So that's where it's important that whether you're here as an individual or you're here on by your own, your spouse isn't here, is that you plan your post-career lifestyle strategy together, that both of you are engaged in this jointly. Doesn't mean everything's the same. It doesn't mean that you plan everything together, but it means that you go through the exercises together so that you can weave in the things that are important to the both of you while you still pursue the things you just want to do. It doesn't mean that if a husband loves to golf, that the wife has to learn how to golf in that particular situation. So just find those commonalities, but plan it together. So now let's switch gears. So we've talked about facts. Now let's talk about preparation and what you can do now to help impact and improve your longevity later. So there's a lot of data out there on longevity and the right lifestyle to live. In this case, I used a few sources from Johns Hopkins Medicine and factors in your control. And that's the part I like, because obviously I can't control the fact whether I get a blood disease like cancer. There are things I can do to help minimize that, but there are certain things in our lives that are just going to happen beyond our control. I get in a car accident, something happens. But the factors that are in our control that can really add to our longevity possibilities, first thing is, if you're smoking, stop smoking. I know people in my life who have lived a long time smoking, and I'm not here to tell you that if you're smoking, my gosh, you're a bad person, you have to stop smoking. But I do know, statistically speaking, that many people are impacted, particularly when they hit their 60s and 70s, if they've been smoking all their life. So if you're doing it now, I highly encourage you. You can control your longevity by stop smoking. Then a healthy weight is another area with which people can help improve and prepare for a longer life. It gets harder as we get older to lose weight and even maintain weight. As our body slows down, our metabolism slows down, it can be more and more difficult. It takes harder work to achieve lesser results as we get older. So maintaining a healthy weight, understanding that lifestyle you need to live there will go a long way. And obviously tying back to the last three here actually are so interconnected, but exercise itself, consistently doing that, not only it ties back to the healthy weight aspect, but it keeps your body moving. There's so many other good things as it relates to circulation, helping your heart rate get up. It's, quote, good stress that you're putting on your body to be able to help improve your longevity. And then eating healthy, something that's a constant battle for me because I love sugar. Eating healthy is another element or aspect to your life that you control. So there's 4 elements there, easy to say, a lot harder to implement and be disciplined on, but you can look at those and address those and help improve your situation. Some additional factors to control, and this comes out of the VA and also the National Institutes of Health. So bad habits, general bad habits that you have, and you could say smoking's a bad habit, but other things in your life that might be bad habits, being very sedentary, watching too much TV, things like that in your life related to your lifestyle that could be bad habits that keep you from a longer life. Sleep's an important factor. Another thing that I get challenged by, I can't seem to get 8 hours of sleep. The CDC and also the Mayo Clinic, a bunch of places recommend anywhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. So a good thing for all of us at any age is to really understand, can we spend a third of our time sleeping? If we optimally get there, that helps for a longer life. Managing stress, and this may seem counterintuitive because many people kind of feel that they don't need to, what kind of stress am I going to have in a post-career life? You are going to have a lot of stress. There are dynamics relative to your health. People suffer from depression, 20% upwards of depression in retirement. So stress is going to be there. How well do you manage it? If you're not managing it well now, figure out ways that you can so that you can go into a post-career life knowing how to do that. And then binge drinking, more probably predominantly to that is substance abuse, this idea of substance abuse. And again, alcoholism, opioid addiction are challenges to the retirement age people here in the United States. So it's real important that you cover that and make sure that if there's a challenge as it relates to that in your life, address it now because it'll go a long way for your lifestyle. All right, then some last other ones that came from other sources. The last one is actually mine, but there's data that says it. Obviously, I said reduce sugar earlier. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because I love sugar. I love candy. Dark chocolate M&Ms are a problem for me. I readily admit that. But as much as you can reduce sugar and replace that with better foods, the better off you are. Regular checkups with your doctor, just go ahead and make that part of an annual cycle. Take their advice. Regular checkups, they'll be able to help address and find issues or challenges that might be on the early part of things when you do that regularly. Actually, the supplement should have been supplements. So I do take some supplements because I know that sometimes my diet's not great, but even if your diet is good, supplements like related to calcium or other aspects so that you still get a good, well-rounded diet. Take a look at that. I again ask, if you're going to take supplements, have that conversation with your doctor or your physician on that. I don't advocate one type of supplement over another, but I do know that there are benefits to that, particularly if you're not eating right and you know you're not going to. And then the last element I think is really important is a spiritual element in your life. studies have shown that when people are in a faith community, they do have a tendency to live longer. And so what I define spiritual as anything that you look at outside yourself that is greater than yourself, so that your entire focus is not just internally on what you want to do. So those are those four factors there. So there's a lot of elements, as you can see, that are in your control. I actually gave 12 of them that are in your control that will have a positive impact on your longevity. There's one extra added item that actually was late breaking for me. I put this in the presentation yesterday. This weekend, talked to a mentor of mine who I contact. We talk probably 3-4 times a year. And I was asking him, he's been in retirement now for 13 years. So well into it, kind of wanted to get his thoughts and his ideas about what I was going to be talking to tonight. And he said one of the things that he and his wife do is they assess activity risks. And what he meant by that is, he said, I really pay attention to the things that I want to do. And even if it's a low risk, if something goes wrong, does that have a major impact on my quality of life or my finances? So for him, doing things like skydiving or bungee jumping or things like that, those are automatically off the cards for him. And I had not thought about that before, but I wanted to put it in the presentation because I don't want people to be risk averse, but I want people to be risk smart. So if you're in your 60s or 70s and you decide, I'm going to go with my grandson skateboarding one day, you have to assess the risk to that. Because if you're not a very good skateboarder, chances are if you fall off, hurt yourself, break a hip, break a bone, or do something, you are now have a potential lifestyle change, and it could have potential impact on your finances. So assess your activity risks and understand what might happen if it goes wrong, even if it's a small thing. So you're basically doing a return on investment analysis to say, is this fun I'm going to have going to be worth it if something negative happens? So again, I'm not asking people to not leave their house because of the risk, but just be mindful what would happen if something went wrong, and does that take you off your lifestyle trajectory? All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the future holds. So let's say you follow all 12, you went through, I do all the 12 things I can control in my life. I live a healthy lifestyle. I'm doing everything that I should. Well, the data that has been coming out recently about longevity and lifespan is really, really incredible stuff that we're hearing. So this chart shows you, and I got it from a book called The Great Age Reboot. And it looks at the column on the left is your approximate age in 2022. So look at that. And so let's just say, let's take the 55 age. When you were born, the CDC, for example, would have had data that said your average lifespan is going to be 74. By the way, let me clarify something. For men here, you have to take an -3 from every one of those figures, because again, women outlive men. But if you go through that, and when you were born, the CDC or whatever body was monitoring life expectancy said that your lifespan was going to be 74. However, because of advances in technology and what is here and what is to come, there's actually data that people are doing and showing that our lifespans are going to be a lot longer than we think. People living above 100 is going to be very commonplace. So in effect, if you were 55 in 2022, you can potentially, not expect, but data and predictions indicate you're going to live to be 115 years old. So that's 60 years longer than what was anticipated when you were born. And that's if you're alive in 2030. So let me do that as a qualification, which that's not that far away. Imagine the impact that that has on what your life is like. And imagine what things you can accomplish, but also consider and say, well, if I'm going to live to be 115, do I have the resources to do that? Because today, most financial institutions, when they do your financial model for you, they're doing it either at like 95 or up to 99. And so if 115 might become a reality, you may need to reevaluate what life is going to be like. I think it's exciting. It's unique stuff. Now, whether that happens, still the jury is out. So this is obviously not locked in. This is just from this particular book, but it is an indication that the trends are showing that our life expectancy is going to increase. And so obviously for people in the 45, 35, 25 range, that's a whole host of life-saving changes. I think the traditional retirement age is going to have to change as a result. So just things that we need to address and think about. So do not look at any, if you're thinking I'm going to be a century or older, that's not out of the realm of thinking. Just understand what impact that might have on you personally as a result. There's 3 resources I'm going to offer, and these will be in the replay show notes. So no worries if you want to go back when this gets posted on YouTube, you can get links to these. Blue Zones is actually a Netflix series right now that is extremely popular. And so I'd encourage you, I think it's a 4-part series on Netflix. Also the website Blue Zones, but the concept here is that they looked at particular geographic areas where people were living longer. And one of those is actually in the United States. And they looked at what were the habits and the things that the people did in those areas to live longer. And they're using that to then help the rest of us to understand, here are things that you can do for your life to live in a blue zone. I mentioned the Great Age Reboot. That link will also be in there. And then a really comprehensive, it's a bestseller right now, Outlive the Science and Art of Longevity. That's another good book if you are interested in the topic of how you can take care of yourself for longevity. All of these and all of what I've talked about today, I want to impress upon, I'm also a proponent of quality of life. So for me personally, I don't want to live to 115 if I'm not able to enjoy life at that age. So I think it's also important that you not necessarily approach this because you want to live long and that's your desire. That's great. But I also, doing the things that I've mentioned here and following the advice in some of these resources gives you a better quality of life now and a better quality of life longer into your post-career life. So that to me speaks volumes and is really important for all of us to understand. It's ultimately about quality of life, not necessarily longevity. Let longevity be the net result and the after effect of your choice wanting to have a quality life. That's our topic. That's our discussion for today on the longevity revolution. I do want to know what are potential next steps. So if you want to learn more about this or want to learn more about the Infinity Lifestyle Design Program, again, if you've not taken the retirement time analysis, please take advantage of that. The link will be in the notes on YouTube. Also, part of what I offer is a 1-hour consultation. So if you'd like to go deeper into lifestyle planning, then the 1-hour consultation gives you 3 resources. You'll get up to 2 retirement time analysis reports If you're taking it as a couple, you also get a couples report, and then you'll have the outline questionnaire. Those three things you do, and then we come together and we identify in that 1 hour consultation 2 to 3 areas that you can focus and build upon to start to craft that post-career lifestyle strategy. So that 1 hour consultation, again, is a part of the full Infinity Lifestyle Design program. You can learn more about that on the website at infinitylifestyledesign.com/services. And then obviously this is just more details around the 1 hour consultation. It is $97. It's again, you get 2 RTA reports, 1 couples report, up to 2 questionnaires, and then the 1 hour consultation. So after this, what I owe you, I'll send the link for the 1 hour consultation. I'll send the link to take the RTA. You can find those in the show notes. I will also send a link if you want to have a virtual coffee to kind of talk about things more before you dive into it. Happy to do that as well. So I'd like to thank those participants who are watching online on YouTube. I'm going to stop the recording now and open it up for those participants for